Hey, what's up guys? Trunkoso here. Welcome back to the channel and to the second episode of my worst of Call of Duty Zombies series. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering the second gun in this series and what is widely considered to be one of the worst wall buys in Call of Duty Zombies history and probably the worst in Black Ops 1. And it is the infamous PM63 submachine gun, or as it's also known when upgraded, the Tokyo and Rose. But without further ado, let's dive right into the PM63 and why it's considered to be one of the worst weapons in Zombies to date. The PM63 is an SMG in Black Ops 1 Zombies that is a wall buy on every map with the exception of the World at War remasters. Usually it's seen on the wall in the first area outside of the starting room. For example, in Kino der Toten, as soon as you buy the door that goes to the mystery box in Mule Kick, it will be available to purchase right off the wall. The PM63 itself costs 1,000 points, which is the same as the MPL and the MP5K, which are also wall buys. However, despite this, the PM63 specifically usually tends to get shafted by nearly every player. The reasons for this I will get into shortly. However, because I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, I decided to cut the gun some slack for the time being, so before I get into the cons and debilitating aspects of the PM63, I think now would be a great time to begin to cover any possible pros of this weapon, and the reasons as to why a player may consider purchasing off the wall in their game. Speaking of which, that brings me to the first pro of the PM63, and that's the fact that it is a wall gun, so automatically this adds some value to it because you can always rebuy ammo at any point, and because this thing only gets 120 rounds by default, this factor is extremely crucial for anyone who would want to try to use this SMG long term. The second pro of the PM63, I suppose, is that even though there are better options for 1,000 points on the wall, in practice the gun does serve a decent purpose early on in the game, mainly for accumulating points, and because of its very high rate of fire, this can make point building in the earlier rounds much easier. But really, other than those two reasons, there isn't much else that is good to say about this gun, in my opinion, so without further ado, let's talk about the cons of the PM63. Oh boy. So if you've been paying attention to the gameplay, chances are you might have already noticed one of the PM63's greatest issues, and if you haven't seen it already, then you're probably this guy. The PM63 runs through ammo so fast that at a minimum I have to buy ammo 3 to 4 times a round if I'm past round 10, and if you have double tap as one of your 4 perks, you might as well camp right next to the wall buy location because you'll need to buy ammo every 15 seconds or so. It's almost as though Treyarch secretly wanted to make the PM63 a camping gun, and to be fair, I feel like that does seem like a reasonable assumption because trying to play with the gun while training seems to be impossible because I always run out of ammo like every 10 seconds.
That's the last of it! We're out of ammo!
But anyways, the second and probably the biggest issue with the PM63 is that when you upgrade it to the Tokyo and Rose, it's almost as though it actually becomes worse than when you bought it off the wall. Upon pack-a-punching the gun, you are rewarded with the Akimbo PM63s. Now I know this sounds pretty badass in theory, but in practice there are two very noticeable problems with the Tokyo and Rose, and number one is that you get basically no ammo at all. Both PM63s have 25 rounds in their magazines, but for whatever reason, Treyarch decided that only 225 rounds of reserve ammo would be sufficient for dual-wield SMGs that shoot at a rate of 937 rounds per minute and over 1,000 with double tap. All I have to say is, whoever gave these guns this amount of ammo,
your mom's a hoe!
It also doesn't really help either that the Tokyo and Rose themselves aren't strong by any means, and really after about round 20 they start to become more and more useless as the rounds go on. If they weren't going to give this gun a lot of ammo pack-a-punch, they could have at least given these things a high amount of damage against the zombies, but of course sadly that was not the case. So yeah, overall guys, the PM63 is just not a good gun at all. Its three main issues really just completely handicap it, and just like I said earlier, if you want to buy a cheap SMG off the wall for points at the start of your game, the MP5K and the MPL are way better, but the MP5 specifically is probably going to be your best bet. The only time I'd ever use the PM63 is if I'm either trying to get gameplay for a video, or if I feel like just challenging myself for no reason at all and just want to suffer. And I know some PM63 fanboys will probably come after me and try making the argument that the gun is good, but if we're being 100% real here, 9 out of the 10 of those fanboys are just trolling, just like Johnny J saying that Die Rise is a good map. So at the end of the day, if I had to give the PM63 a grade like the guns in the last couple of videos, I would say that the regular PM63 for me at least is probably going to get a 6 out of 10 or a D grade. The only reason I'm not giving it an F like the Springfield is that the non-papped version technically isn't completely useless as you can get points early on, but literally everything else about this gun sucks, and the Pack-a-Punch version alone is an F-tier upgrade. So that is why the PM63 is one of the worst guns in Zombies history and is being featured in today's video. And with that being said guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications. I mainly create Zombies content, so if you're into that and want to see more of it, consider subscribing. Thank you guys for watching my video, have a great rest of your day, and until next time, I am Trunkoso, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.